want to talk a little bit about our mission, vision, and values. Of course, many of you all are familiar with a lot of the forward-facing services that we provide to residents throughout the city, but also the supplemental services, which are very important, that often goes unnoticed, and people don't realize that we take a great deal of pride in providing those responsibilities. Those include homeless abatement cleanup, litter abatement as well. I'm sorry, not homeless abatement, but homeless encampment cleanups and litter abatement cleanups that occurs throughout the city. In fact, I was just looking at some data the other day and noticed that we're picking up approximately 41 pounds of litter per mile on a monthly basis. So again, a lot more that goes on. So our mission, we want to provide a department that provides the city with integrated services, integrated municipal waste services designed to support environmental health throughout all of our communities, which ultimately will promote a sustainable community and economic development in all the neighborhoods throughout the city. Again, our vision, we want to preserve the cleanliness of our communities through the provision of efficient, reliable, and sustainable solid waste management services, all in order to support a One Clean Houston. Our values really focus on the facts, which we use as an acronym for fairness, accountability, customer service, teamwork, and safety. All right, biggest issue that we're having now, junk and tree waste. We've all seen these illustrations. You've probably seen our equipment out in the streets. Just want everyone to know that we provide bulk waste and junk waste collection at least 6 months throughout the year. Throughout the other 6 months, we'll be providing heavy tree waste collection. A great way to remember what month your junk waste collection occurs is going to occur on all the even months. And then, so I highly encourage everyone, and I believe it was mentioned before, to utilize that HTX app. If you have questions or you're apprehensive about the app, feel free to call the 311 call center for additional information. Each resident is allowed to place out, we like to keep the limit at about 8 cubic yards per household, and there's a reason for that. Houston is a big city. We have a lot of residents to service, and in order for us to provide the same level of service or equal level of service throughout the city, we have to make sure that we're using our time adequately. So therefore, we ask people to kind of not exceed 8 cubic yards per household, and keep that in mind. So you may ask, well, how do I know when I've reached a cubic yard? There's the answer right there, right behind me. Here's a very nice chart that kind of illustrates what a cubic yard is, 3 feet high, 3 feet in width, and 3 on the other side. So if you can imagine, though, a couch that's being compacted and utilizing every single square inch of that cube, that's going to roughly equate to about a cubic yard or less. So keep that in mind as you're placing debris out at the curb, and also make sure that you keep it away from any sort of parked vehicles or personal property. Another common issue that we often run into is that people will locate a big pile of debris on top of a water meter. Well, what do you think is going to happen when we come through to pick it up and we don't know it's there? We run the risk of having your water meter damaged. So keep those tips in mind. Again, focusing on One Clean Houston, March of 2023. Mayor Turner announced the initiation of the program. You've heard it already. It's focused on rapid cleanup, better enforcement, and dumping prevention. And since then, everything has been about clean, trying to keep it clean, which you'll hear more about the acronym, which really involves the community to enhance the caringness, learning, engaging, and accountability, and most of all, never stop that commitment towards keeping your community clean, because we are going to rely on you as the eyes and ears. Remember, you don't remember anything else. Remember, sometimes we are a complaint-driven department. We have about 400, we have budgeted about 475 positions through the department, and the city of Houston is 670 plus square miles wide. That means we can't be in all of those areas at one time, so we rely heavily upon what you see in the community to let us know what's going on, so that, again, we can respond to those needs and keep it clean. A couple of more stats, probably the thing that I'm most excited about, another great feature of One Clean Houston, and Jesse mentioned it earlier. You see where we've had over 6,000 collections, averaging about 9.3 cubic yards per stop. But however, you get the chance to see this real-time track of what we have affectionately named in the department as the Y map. Because if you look at it and study the illustrations, it kind of shows you a Y pattern of where the dumping activity is occurring most and where we have historically and always spent most of our time. All right. Okay, I was understanding to give a better description of the areas of the Y map. Okay, basically it's going to focus on the northeast side of Houston, and then kind of stay all the way down towards the southeast side of Houston. So the east side of Houston is primarily where we are concentrated the majority of our efforts and where we're seeing our presence is needed the most to provide those removal services. Thank you, Ben. Okay, so earlier during the press conference, Mayor Turner mentioned that we've had a 24% increase in the removal of illegal dumping throughout the neighborhood. Mayor Turner, I want you to we're going to get all these flowers that we can. I was running some numbers last night. That number is closer to 28%, and it's steadily increasing. So what does that mean? That means that the efforts and the energy that's going into the One Clean Houston initiative is paying off. How do we know that? Well, we're seeing an increase in the tonnage that we remove on a daily basis, and then we're also hearing from the community about how responsive that can be. And earlier you heard that our average response time continues to grow. Okay, educate and engage the community. I really want people, if you don't take away anything at all, you got an iPhone, if you got an Android, go ahead and start downloading HTX Collections app right now. Tell them, you download this app, you're going to be one of the coolest cats in town. People are going to envy you, right? They're going to want to know how you got the inside information as to what is going on in solid waste. How do you get it so quickly? You're going to be the envy of your block, right? People are going to be coming to you, and then you tell them, hey, download the HTX app so you can have your own and you can get that information as you need it. But again, this is where you'll find out about all of our resources, all of the service that we provide in the city, and we're also going to increase our presence on social media as well. Another feature that Mayor Turner has supported us on is increasing our presence and surveillance of where we see illegal dumping occurring at the most. I can tell you right now, when our team gets together and we locate one of these cameras that you see behind me in our neighborhoods, we see an immediate improvement in the illegal dumping. Actually, it just disappears and goes someplace else. And what does that do, right? We know that you really got to be like lacking some morals if you're going to go and commit such a heinous crime in front of one of these cameras while we're recording. So that behavior instantly changes. And even when we remove that camera, we still notice that that environment stays clean. So we're not going to tell you where we're placing them at. We know that would kind of ruin the game a little bit, right? But just know this too, that our partners with law enforcement, HPD, and the constable's office as well, they also have cameras, but their cameras are a little bit more close. So I don't even know where they are. They're telling me that they've seen me on it. I just take their word for it. So to all of those people thinking about committing those nefarious acts in our communities, please keep in mind, we're watching. It's not only us, but it's also the community as well. Our neighborhood depositories. One good takeaway that we learned from the partner with the DOJ in this study is that sometimes people are reluctant to use our neighborhood depositories. We have 6 of them. And although they are, the city has grown and we're working on plans to address moving the traffic flow through a little bit better, improving that efficiency of that. We're also going to be adjusting some of the requirements and prerequisites to utilize those facilities. We normally request a matching ID and utility bill, so keep in mind, keep your eye on the news in the upcoming months or the upcoming weeks, because we're going to consider making those adjustments. We understand in Houston that we may have a segment of the population that's a little bit reluctant to provide the IDs, depending on what those hurdles and circumstances may be, but we don't want that to be a cause or a reason to go out and commit illegal dumping. All right, so again, just never stop. Jesse touched on it earlier. We're going to keep throwing some innovative ideas, and as Mayor Turner mentioned during his press conference, this is not a one and done thing. So the team at the Solid Waste Management Department are constantly thinking of new ideas. Sometimes I talk to you in the community. You all give me great ideas. I go back before the team and tell them, guess what I thought of? So, but my point is, I'm sure to give you all the credit because I can't do it by myself. Our team can't do it by ourselves. So we really are looking forward to the partnership that we have with you community. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Jessica.